What's going on, guys? So I am stuck in traffic. Not sure exactly what's going on up ahead. It's likely some type of construction project or an accident, but it got me thinking about a topic that I wanted to do a bit of a driving rant to talk to you all about. So hang tight, I'll be right back. All right, so we're finally crawling a little bit here. I've been stopped here for the past 10 minutes, not moving, and hopefully things will get moving pretty soon. And I started thinking about traveling, the process of getting from wherever we're starting to wherever we're planning on being and possibly back. So, RVing is all about traveling, right? It's all about getting out there. In some cases, it's not about getting out there. It's just about enjoying your RV. But in most cases, it's about getting out there, traveling around your state, your region, the country, wherever you plan on going and using your RV. And, it got me thinking about how far we like to travel before we either stop and take a break, before we stop and rest, or before we, call it a night and wake up the next morning and travel again. And I wanted to ask you all, my viewers, how you feel about traveling. How long are you able to stay on the road before you get so tired or before you feel you need to pull over and take a break, whether it be at a rest stop, whether it be at a gas station, a hotel, a parking lot, a Walmart, or in your RV? Do you travel, all day and then you stop whenever you just physically can't go anymore? Do you travel until you are close to running out of fuel and you have to refill? Or do you travel for a few hours at a time and stop at, truck stops, or I guess anywhere you can stop to essentially stretch your legs and take a bit of a break? For me and my family, we like to travel probably in 3-hour stints, 3-hour little legs before we pull over, we get out, we stretch, we stop at a rest stop, we stop at a gas station somewhere. And typically I like to fill up every opportunity I have. So whenever we're traveling, if we're at a fuel station and I have an opportunity to fill up the truck, I like to take advantage of that, only because it gives me more options later in terms of where I have to stop and when. But how do you all feel about it? So, our typical trip, let's say our longer trip, that might normally be maybe a 20-hour drive if you just road warriored all the way through it and just didn't stop, didn't take any type of a break. For us, we would probably, again, stop between every 3 to 4 hours, mainly in cities or right outside of cities where you have your truck stops, where you have your fueling stations that you can park, you can fit your rig, and you can go in, get something to snack on, use the restroom, grab a water, something like that. And then we'll hit the road maybe 15 minutes later, just so we have the ability to fuel up ourselves, fuel up the vehicle, check on things, make sure nothing's, working its way loose, check your tires, different things like that. And again, for us, it's dividing a trip up into 3 to 4 hour segments, and that works well for our family. And then once we hit that point of maybe 2 stops, 3 stops, we'll consider staying somewhere. So for instance, let's say we're going to travel to Florida. On the way, we'll probably stop every 3 hours, but then we might make a halfway stop to where we actually camp the night out in Louisiana, or we camp out in an area overnight in the RV, maybe just pick up a one-night reservation at an RV park, just so we can essentially pull up. We won't even detach if we don't have to, if the spot's long enough, but we'll just detach, level out the RV if we have to, and go grab a meal or cook a meal in the RV and then take off the next morning. This elderly couple next to me is seeing if they can get in front of me, and I said they could, so. But again, it comes down to, what you physically feel you're capable of doing while still being safe. Now, I know there's a lot of OTR guys, over-the-road truckers, who are used to driving just huge stints and just taking a required 30-minute break and then getting back on the road again. And that's not, for me, what I would consider to be practical for RVers. Only because, again, the point of RVing is to do it recreationally. If you're a trucker and you're over the road, you're doing it as part of your job, and your timelines to get somewhere and deliver something or to drop something off is incredibly important. And meeting those timelines is something that can mean all the difference between, keeping your job or not. But as an RVer, it's an interesting topic. I'd love to hear how long you're able to be on the road before you feel you need to stop for a break, before you pull over. And I think most of the time, the stop is probably more of a fueling stop or a restroom stop versus the need to absolutely stop. I know there's several times where I feel I could probably have driven 8 hours without needing to stop if it wasn't because I needed to fill up or because I wasn't, needing to take a restroom break or something like that. But yeah, I'd love if you left a comment below. And if you could, provide some context into your specific type of traveling. What is your rig? What type of setup do you have? Is it a Class A, B, or C motorhome? Is it a towable unit with a pickup truck or a van or an SUV hauling a travel trailer? Do you just drive in an SUV and you don't have an RV? Maybe you're considering getting an RV. What is your setup? What is your type of traveling? And once you provide that information, it would be great to know how far you typically travel, right? Do you travel all over the country? Do you travel as road warriors, weekend warriors? How are you specifically traveling and the size of your family? Because for us, traveling with a young child completely changed the rules of how we travel. If it's just 2 adults in a vehicle, you can go much further without having to worry about a child that you have to take care of, or a child who might fall asleep and wake up grumpy or is crying or you need to change, things like that. So again, leave a comment below, but more importantly, describe your situation first. Maybe if it's, family of 2, family of 4, a couple, a single person, what type of rig you have, where you typically travel in terms of distance from where you live, and how often you stop during that trip, how often you take a break, how often you feel that you need to stop for either a personal break, like a rest relaxation, a fueling stop, or a restroom break, because I think that all factors into it as well. And how well that works for you. There are some folks who will get into RVing and they feel they have to force a trip because maybe you set a reservation up in, Arizona somewhere, and you live in Texas, and it's a 14-hour drive, and you feel that, okay, I have to be there because I have this reservation I have to meet, and you didn't really plan the trip around making the trip itself the vacation. Right? So a lot of folks, including us, when we take a longer trip, we'll plan for several stops along the way because we want the entire trip to be enjoyable. We want the entire trip to be the vacation, not just the destination. And if you plan a trip like that, you'll find yourself enjoying every aspect of your trip as opposed to just the destination. Right? A Disney World trip might be a destination style trip where the entire goal is to get there so you can enjoy Disney World with your children. However, if you turn that trip into a destination in itself, so Disney World is more so the turnaround, the place that you're going to end up and spend more time, but you're going to enjoy the entire journey there and the journey back and make those also part of your trip. Anyways, again, leave a comment below. I would love to know, and I'm sure other viewers would love to know, especially if they're getting into RVing and they're wanting to figure out just what is the best way to plan trips. What is the best way for us to use an RV and for us to get out there and enjoy it? Because it all factors in when you're trying to figure out how you're going to use an RV, how much time, how much you're actually going to utilize the RV. Right, that's a big part. You think you're going to use it a certain way, but then you ultimately end up using it in an entirely different fashion only because of all of the logistical elements that go into planning an RV trip, the destination, as well as the trip there and back. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment below. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we will talk to you again very soon.